That too, we're talking about a tariff of 10% on China based on the fact that they're sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada.
How soon? How soon on those tariffs?
Probably February 1st is the date we're looking at.
For
For Mexico and China, we're talking about approximately 25%.
关于这个问题，我们多次表明了中方的立场。我们始终认为，贸易战、关税战没有赢家，中方始终坚定维护国家利益。
Anyone who believes that this so-called renewed war of words and tariffs is just another political circus is delusional. This time, Washington's threats against Beijing are a reckless power grab driven by nationalistic posturing, and China is ready to unleash every tool in its arsenal to retaliate. Critics in the U.S. who once laughed at the idea that tariffs could destroy global trade might be in for a rude awakening when they see how far China will go to protect its interests. The sheer arrogance of those who think they can dictate terms to a behemoth like China is nothing short of breathtaking. Watch as America stumbles in shock when the Chinese government deploys hidden trump cards, ranging from rare earth chokeholds to gutting U.S. brands on the ground in Beijing, while politicians in Washington scramble to spin their humiliating miscalculation. The hawks are about to learn the hard way that a single tweet or an executive order can't crush an economic titan that's been quietly fortifying its position for years. Buckle up and brace yourself for a high-stakes confrontation that will shake the foundations of global commerce and politics alike. Stay with us till the end. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. More prepared, having honed counter strategies that range from limiting certain raw materials to adjusting monetary policies, all intended to shield China's interests and exert leverage over the U.S. market. Chinese officials such as Wang Shouwen at the Ministry of Commerce have signaled that the government won't hesitate to impose counter tariffs of its own. Behind closed doors, a team once headed by figures like Liu He studied specific ways to inflict maximum pain on American exporters, especially those based in politically vital regions. During the earlier round of trade disputes, China targeted the agricultural heartland, imposing tariffs on soybeans and other staples from states whose electoral votes are crucial in U.S. presidential elections. Observers noted that this approach created pressure on farmers, who in turn voiced their frustrations to Washington. It's reasonable to believe the same tactic could be deployed again, with new or higher tariffs on agricultural goods like wheat and corn, or on industries where the U.S. holds a strong export position, hoping to engender political backlash. Beyond agriculture, another potent weapon in China's arsenal lies in its near monopoly on certain critical minerals and rare earth elements. Resources like gallium, germanium, and antimony factor heavily in semiconductor manufacturing, as well as in some advanced fiber optic cables. As technology competition intensifies, especially in areas such as AI, next-generation mobile networks, and defense systems, control over these rare materials becomes a strategic advantage. If Trump follows through with a 60% blanket tariff on Chinese goods, Beijing might respond by restricting or even halting exports of these minerals to the U.S. Any supply chain disruption could wreak havoc on American companies dependent on them, forcing them to pay higher prices or relocate manufacturing. In turn, this would amplify the cost to end consumers and could prompt complaints from power. The Biden administration placed restrictions on advanced chip exports to China, citing national security concerns related to Chinese AI development. From a strategic standpoint, China realized it had to accelerate domestic research in semiconductors, supercomputing, and other frontier technologies. Companies tied to the Chinese state have been pouring money into homegrown microchip fabrication, forging relationships with domestic research institutions, and reducing reliance on foreign suppliers. A new wave of Chinese innovators, from startups to tech giants, has been actively exploring ways to substitute imported components with local equivalents. If Trump intensifies these restrictions, seeking to cut China off from cutting-edge chips or from entities like TSMC and ASML, China might retaliate by blocking the export of crucial materials needed by American or allied semiconductor makers. This cycle of escalation could hamper technological progress on both sides, but Beijing's gamble is that U.S. businesses might blink first if profits and supply chains are severely threatened. Some of China's most potent countermeasures involve targeted disruptions of U.S. companies operating within Chinese borders. Iconic American brands such as Apple, Starbucks, and Tesla rely heavily on the Chinese market for both manufacturing and sales. Beijing could adopt new regulatory rules that complicate operations for these firms, slow down license renewals, or raise compliance standards. Even subtle threats of shutting down production lines can lead to jitters in U.S. markets, prompting investors to reconsider the risks. Furthermore, because China has become one of the largest consumer markets on the planet, major corporations may lobby the White House to ease tensions to avoid jeopardizing their access to millions of Chinese customers. Chinese policymakers are also aware of the global repercussions if the conflict spirals. American treasuries remain a key instrument of China's foreign exchange holdings. While a large sell-off of... Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. A renewed trade war also collides with domestic narratives in both countries. Trump claims that American manufacturing capacity has been hollowed out by China's unfair progress. But strategically, the trade war promises that at least third trade practices and that imposing tariffs is a way to bring factories back to the U.S. Meanwhile, state-controlled media in China portrays American actions as the desperate maneuvers of a fading superpower trying to contain China's rightful rise. These narratives serve political ends. In the U.S., protectionism can resonate with some voters who see factories closed in their towns, while in China, nationalism is amplified by the promise that the country will never again bow to foreign pressure. This political theater can make compromise more difficult, as each side fears losing face if it concedes too readily. Economic decoupling, once viewed as a remote idea, has gained traction in certain policy circles. Both the U.S. and China have recognized vulnerabilities in their reliance on the other. China's push for a stronger domestic consumer market, known as dual circulation, is a hedge against external shocks. The U.S., particularly under leaders who view China as a strategic adversary, has encouraged American firms to nearshore or ally shore of operations to friendlier territories. Yet decoupling on a large scale is immensely challenging. Supply chains for electronics, pharmaceuticals, automobiles, and other sectors extend across multiple countries. Attempting to unravel these networks can take years, cost billions, and ultimately burden end consumers with higher prices. Despite the rhetoric, neither side seems fully prepared to sever economic ties outright, given how intertwined their markets and investment flows have become. Meanwhile, the EU watches from across the Atlantic, wary of being dragged into a direct confrontation. Countries like Germany have deep trading relationships with China, especially in the automotive and machinery sectors. France and other European nations want to expand their access to the Chinese market for luxury goods and agricultural exports. At the same time, the EU shares some of the U.S. concerns about intellectual property theft and state subsidies in China. The risk is that if the U.S. aggressively slaps tariffs on China, Europe might be forced to pick a side or face retaliatory measures from both. The complex interplay of alliances, supply chain dependencies, and global trade rules means that Europe's path is fraught with potential pitfalls. Across the Pacific, it's not just government policy at stake. Wall Street remains heavily invested in Chinese stocks and bonds, thanks to the notion that China's economy, despite recent slowdowns, still presents growth opportunities that can be scarce in other markets. If a tariff escalation disrupts capital flows, institutional investors might find themselves selling Chinese assets to avoid political risks. This could have a knock-on effect in global markets, eroding wealth and fueling unpredictability. Similarly, Chinese regulators might target large U.S. financial institutions in retaliation, potentially by imposing new capital requirements or limiting market access under the guise of financial security. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. Within China, there's a duality. On the one hand, officials emphasize self-reliance in strategic sectors to reduce vulnerability to external pressure. On the other, they still welcome foreign capital and technology partnerships in non-sensitive areas, hoping to maintain steady economic growth. This balancing act can be precarious. If trade tensions flare to a breaking point, some foreign businesses might interpret it as a red flag, questioning whether operating in China is still worth the regulatory and political risks. Yet China's economy, already substantial in scale, can absorb certain shocks and pivot to other trading partners in Asia, the Middle East, or Africa. The Belt and Road Initiative is part of this broader plan to expand economic outreach and reduce dependence on North American markets. U.S. consumers, who often feel far removed from the intricacies of international trade, might start noticing real impacts in their daily lives. Appliances, electronics, and even clothing could become more expensive if companies pass along the cost of tariffs. Retail giants might attempt to shift supply chains to places like Vietnam or Mexico, but those countries can't immediately match China's production capacity and infrastructure. Factories can't simply be uprooted, they require skilled labor, logistics networks, and capital investments. Meanwhile, businesses that previously diversified their sourcing might find themselves caught in the crosshairs if Trump extends tariffs beyond China to other nations. This uncertainty could spark inflationary pressures, particularly if supply chain bottlenecks emerge at the same time. Some American politicians might celebrate job growth in domestic manufacturing as tariffs make Chinese imports less competitive. However, economists frequently argue that such gains can be offset by higher production costs, reduced consumer spending power, and retaliatory strikes against U.S. exports. The net effect could be a reshuffling of jobs rather than a clear boost. Agriculture remains particularly vulnerable, given how reliant American farmers have become on exporting to China. In the previous trade standoff, China turned to Brazil and other countries for soybeans, altering global agricultural flows. Once new trading relationships are formed, it can be tough to regain lost ground. The human element shouldn't be overlooked. The earlier trade war led to layoffs in certain export-heavy Chinese manufacturing hubs. While some American farmers struggled to sell their harvest, families on both sides of the Pacific felt economic uncertainty. Middle-class Chinese consumers, who had grown accustomed to a wide range of American goods and services, might find imported items too expensive or unavailable if duties jumped. In the U.S., families who rely on affordable products from Walmart or Amazon might face tighter budgets. These real-world consequences can shift public opinion rapidly. If frustration boils over, it could either strengthen Trump's stance, if Americans blame China for unfair practices, or weaken it if they blame the administration for stoking the conflict. Despite all the tension, the possibility of compromise remains. High-level diplomatic talks could yield limited deals like small-scale agreements on agricultural or energy purchases that temporarily calm markets. However, the underlying rivalry persists. As it's not just about trade deficits but broader strategic competition, the issue of intellectual property theft, state-backed cyber espionage, military buildup in the South China Sea, and alignment with Russia or other international players all color the conversation. Tariffs become one prong in a multifaceted contest for global influence. In some, China's potential retaliation arsenal features sophisticated tactics. Beijing can impose counter-tariffs, restrict strategic exports, manipulate currency valuations, pressure U.S. firms within China, and even threaten the sale of U.S. Treasury bonds. Each move is calculated to send a signal while trying to avoid irreparable damage to China's own economic trajectory. Meanwhile, American policymakers might see tariffs as a way to force a realignment of global supply chains, reduce dependence on foreign manufacturing, and contain China's rise in advanced tech sectors. Whether this approach leads to any durable gains for the U.S. is a matter of debate among economists. But Trump's political brand has thrived on promises of strong stances against perceived threats. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.